Today we're going to talk about pain. Pain, in most cases, make people make rushed decisions. The biggest problem with pain is that you'll always try to look for immediate solutions to problems that have been caused over a very long period of time. The biggest pain most of us are living with now is GBV, gender-based violence. And because of the pain that is caused by this pandemic, most of us are looking for solutions now. The problem with that is that in most cases, when you focus so much more in terms of taking away the immediate pain, you'll always miss out the problem. Now, remember, pain is always a symptom. Problem is always the cause. Let us look at the South Africa scenario now. It is painful for a human being to harm, let alone kill another one. But it is in fact more worrying and more disturbing when a loved one gets killed or loses her life at the hands of a loved one. When beautiful kids that are supposed to feel safe in the presence of their parents get murdered by the same people that brought them in this life. This is a worrying trend. And it's one of those things that continuously keeps on getting from worse to worse. And as a society, of course, we react. We don't respond to it. And our reaction is always to look, being reactionary is always about looking for immediate solutions. Now, anything that you always try to take away your pain, it becomes something, it becomes a sucker. It becomes something that has to numb that pain. It becomes your drug of choice because taking the pain away gives you immediate relief, but does not take away the main cause of your pain. If we look at where we are as a society, and specifically looking at the black society in South Africa, we have to focus on how did we get where we are. This is not something that we woke up one morning and all of a sudden men were killing women and mothers were killing their kids and the father was shooting their kids and using a knife, a blade to sniff out life out of the kids that he brought into this world. As much as we focus on coming up with a solution to this immediate problem, but we also have to sit back as a society and ask ourselves, what caused this? Now, this brings us to us, and one thing that I want us to look at is the meaning of a father. The first one that we're going to use here as a father model, because South Africa is a society where we lack a lot of fathers, is God himself. God is the archetype father, the perfect father. But not all of us have had the experience of having a perfect father. Most of us, unfortunately, we've been brought into this world by mortal fathers, by imperfect fathers. And what I mean by that is our fathers, as much as they try to be the best version of themselves, at some point when you grow up, you realize that your father failed. He drank too much. He raised his voice too often. He raised his hand too often. He didn't provide for you the way the father next door did. And it becomes very hard for us to have a respect for that. But we always have to know that the perfect father himself, who is God, he's brought you into this world using the imperfect human father. So irrespective of how much harm, irrespective of how much damage, and irrespective of how low self-respect that they have of themselves, the first thing that we have to do is we have to honor your father. If you look at the old scriptures, you are told clearly that honor thy father and mother, and you will be rewarded with a long life. Now remember, there is nowhere in the scriptures where you're told to love your parents. It's not a must for you to love your parents because some parents, believe me, they're so horrible and they've done such a horrible things. Some parents, the things that they do to their own kids becomes impossible for another human being to love them. But God cannot be mocked. He said clearly that love thy parents, love thy father and mother. And this becomes the only commandment in the scriptures that comes with a blessing. So it means that if you do not honor your father and mother, then it means you will get the opposite of what the promise is. And the promise is, if you honor thy father and mother, you will be blessed with a long life. So which means that if you do not honor your father and mother, automatically you will be rewarded with a short life. Now, how do we do this? Now, the biggest problem here is we have to look first. Let's look at manhood. There are 3 stages that you have to go through for you to be the kind of man that society looks up to. Now, the first stage here is simply biological, and that's being male. Being a male does not need any qualifications. Being a male is simply a biological function. It's a case of your mother being pregnant and using the present apparatus, using a scanner on her stomach, and they find out, purely based on the sexual orientation of the child, that you were a male. What are the characteristics of male? In most cases, a male child, what do? They eat when they want to. They sleep when they want to. They piss when they want to. They cry in the middle of the night. A male does not really care about society or anybody else. It's all about himself. And we as a society, of course, we know. And you'll always find some people, grown-up men, that are stuck in the male position on their life, the male phase of their life, that they exactly do that. They eat when they want to. They think of nobody else. They drink too much. And that's a phase that you have to be in for a certain specific period of time, and you have to outgrow it. There is nothing more dangerous in life being stuck in a phase that you've outgrown. Because the problem with that, one and foremost, you'll always miss out on the phase of your life that you're in. And if you miss out on the phase of your life that you're in, chances are that you are doing the wrong thing, and you are doing it with the wrong people. The second phase after malehood, of course, is boyhood. Now, boyhood is a very fine line between being a boy and between being a male. That's what I call the player season. It's more or less you've known, you've grown a little bit, you become more purified, you become a little bit more clever, you have some finesse in the way you deal with people, but you still play people so that you can fulfill your own personal needs. So as a boy, you know very well that if you're nice to your mother, if you're nice to your brother, if you're nice to the people around you, you'll end up getting what you want. And as a boy, we all know that as much as you think you know a lot, you still need the community around you to support you so that you can live. So we're going through stages where as a male, you're entirely dependent on those people that brought you into this world. And that in most cases is your father and mother. Then when you get into boyhood, you want to be independent. But this is a case where you're independent but still dependent. You think you know it all. You want to go to bed whatever time that you want. You want to eat wherever you want. You want to dress whichever way. You become what we call antisocial. Everything that you do is everything that the people around you tell you that you shouldn't do. And as society, we understand. And with time, that's when the real men have to step into your life and, of course, start nurturing you into being the kind of man that kind of society needs for the society's progression. To become a man from a boy, that's where the trick comes in. To become a man from a boy, there is one word here, and this word is responsibility. Now remember, you are not born a man. For you to become a man, you have to go through a process. And you need to have a group of men around you that have to teach you, that have to take you through the process, that have to show you what you have to sacrifice and what the responsibility those sacrifices come in. Being a man is a case of knowing that as much as you have rights, every single right is attached to a responsibility. Now, in this society at this point, where we've got very little men, I remember when I was growing up, we used to have those men in our society, the upright-looking men. If you are doing anything that is antisocial, if you are trying to smoke and you see this guy, you will swallow that cigarette. If you see this man coming, you will step off the path into the bush for him to pass. if you are trying to do anything that the society frowns upon. Now, this is the kind of men that were so upright, just seeing them automatically forced you to raise your own personal standards. But now, unfortunately, we live in a society right now where we have a lot of boys trapped in men's bodies. Now, majority of people that I see on a daily basis, majority of people that I deal with on a daily basis, and if you look at the statistics, if you go to Home Affairs, 6 out of 10 boys in this country are brought up in single parent homes. And that single parent is a mother. Now, it is impossible to try be what you've never seen. It is a very big ask for a woman to ask a man just be a man, and a man has never been taught how to be a man. This is something that we have to take seriously as a society, because the difference between that boy and that man is knowing very well that first and foremost, you're not okay until everybody in your life is. And the difference between a father and a dad is exactly that. A father is that one that knows, even after working for 16 hours the whole day, he is tired, he is hungry, but when he comes home first, the baby that is crying needs his attention more than his tummy. He knows that he is tired from working the whole day, working manual labor. He's been worked to the bone to provide for his family. But when that child cries in the middle of the night because of earache, that earache becomes his earache. This is about you knowing that as long as my brother is going to bed hungry and I'm full, everything is not okay. This is the true Bundu way of growing up. And this is one thing as a society, as much as we try to resolve the issues at hand now by using force, we've failed as a society because we're not addressing the main issue, the main problem that has brought us where we are. We have to face this, and we have to take the responsibility as a community to know that if we want that kind of a man that we want to look after his woman, take care of his kids, we need to bring up those kind of men. We cannot expect these men to fall from thin air, because I repeat, you can never be what you've never seen. When was the last time you saw a 70-year-old black man in this city? When was the last time you saw a 70-year-old black man in the gym? Every single day in the gym, I see 70+ white men. I see 70+ black women. What does that do to you? The fact that that 70-year-old black man is not there, it means that 60-year-old black man does not know what is ahead of him. He does not have somebody that is going to guide him on the rough terrain of life, somebody to encourage him, and somebody to tell him that as hard as it is now, hang in there, my boy, it's going to be okay. Being in your 50s automatically means those people in your 40s have to look up to you. And you being in your 50s, you need the people in your 60s to lift you. But we live in a society where we chastise men. Everybody's come up in arms. Everybody's saying that the death penalty must be brought back. Everybody's saying that whoever is done this is crazy in the head. We need long sentence. All these things that we're calling for these solutions because we're in pain. But the real long-term solution is for all of us to take a spotlight and shine it on our souls. And we have to accept that one man that has killed his wife, that one man that has raped his kids, that man is me looking at myself in the mirror without my father figure in my life. We all have to become fathers, because a father is not just a father to his kids. A father is a father to every single child that is around him. We have to become a village again, where we as men, we have to hold ourselves accountable, hold very high standards, and only ascribe to excellence as our only operating standard. Because if the man is lost, the woman is in trouble. And if the woman is in trouble, the kids are in disarray. As a society, we can fix this. But let's stop pointing fingers. Let's fix what's happening now. Try to fix it. But let's stop that treadmill that is consistently keep on bringing up the same boys that are going to end up being these men that kill women. This society, most women because they don't have men in their lives. They're busy bringing up their daughters, but busy loving their sons. Daughters are taught how to cook. Daughters and girls are taught how to do dishes. Daughters and girls are taught how to be good women. But you still find the same mother that has a 21, 23-year-old son that still wakes up at 11, does no work in the house. He wears 10,000 sneaker shoes. He's got a 10,000 iPhone. He spends all his time playing computer games. He's 23, he's 24, he's 25, he's never worked. And you expect this boy to meet this girl that has been trained to be a wife. When she asks him to be a man, he doesn't know what being a man is. And this boy will end up not looking for a wife, but he will end up always looking for the mother that is always loved, the mother that is always taken care of him. But remember, if you take too much care of your kids, you end up injuring them and you end up stealing their future from them. Let's work as a society and let's remember, let's not blame. Let's apportion the blame to ourselves. Everybody has to carry this. I hope to see you in the next session. Remember, addicted to truth. The truth shall set you free. But before it does that, it will piss you off first. And truth will always make you lonely because few of us want truth.